No, I'm saying if we had a way of getting people into this country more quickly, the job of securing the border would be much easier. Instead of a flood of people coming across, we would have a trickle. And so they go hand in hand. I think you have to secure the border first, and then I think you need to work on a program to get people here more quickly. The issue that I really think takes the backseat, the issue that we can deal with when we get to it, is what do we do with 12 million people that are in this country illegally? I don't think the American people have any confidence that we can deal with that issue until we secure the border and prove to them that we will secure the border.
Talk to me about health care. It's an easy thing for any Republican to say that Obamacare was the wrong decision. As a senator, what are you going to do about it?
It's not just Republicans. The Denver Post urged both our senators to vote against the health care bill. Now, maybe there's more Republicans on the editorial board than I know, but that's a good indication that and from what I'm seeing across Colorado, there are a lot of people that are very skeptical that Obamacare is the right answer for this country, both in the process by which it got passed, with all the corruption in terms of bribing senators to vote for it, and in terms of the actual substance of the bill. So I think we need a free market approach to health care. I think Congressman Ryan and others have the right ideas to put on the table to be debated. I can't sit here today and say we need 20% of this and 40% of that, but I think health savings accounts and tort reform and portability of insurance and other things are the right ideas to start talking about.
Will you be supporting a repeal and replace agenda?
Yes.
All right. Get it out. Get back to the drawing board, do it differently.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the Colorado issues. For instance, the Pinyon Canyon area, I know it's been a big issue for the military. Just recently, the GEM.
And the ranchers.
And the ranchers.
Yeah.
And the GEM parks, I'm trying to remember what that was just in the Denver Post. And the I-70 corridor. Give me an idea of how that interplays with what you're going to be doing as a senator. Talk about the Colorado projects and what your role is going to be.
Well, I'll tell you, on Pinyon Canyon, I am opposed to eminent domain being used to take ranchers' land. I think what has to happen is the Army needs to make a case for whether Fort Carson should expand or not. And we've got to look at our budget and figure out whether we've got the money to buy the ranches that need to be bought. But they have to be bought at fair market price. Eminent domain is one of those issues where you're taking a government with a whole lot of resources and you're pitting it against an individual with very little in terms of resources. And that person has to go get a lawyer, and the whole lawsuit area is very scary to people. And so I think we need to stay away from eminent domain as much as possible, and certainly in this situation. The hidden gems issue, and I have always referred to as Polis's wilderness bill and DeGette's wilderness bill, because there's two different wilderness bills out there. And I am in favor of our national parks. I am in favor of our national monuments, and I think wilderness areas are great. But the reality right now is we need to put Americans to work, and we cannot continue to take land off the table where we could be drilling, where we could be logging, where we could be gaining valuable resources from our land at a time when our economy is hurting like this. So in Colorado, I think we need to examine very closely whether we put more wilderness or we designate more public land as wilderness.
What's the federal role when it comes to our transportation woes, including I-70 corridor? And that's, it's growing as a problem. What will you be doing as a senator on those issues?
Well, clearly, the interstate transportation system is a federal issue. Whether to fill a pothole in Greeley, Colorado, is not a federal issue. That's something that we should leave up to the state and local governments. But whether we expand I-70 or not, the biggest question that I have right now is where's the money coming from? Are we piling more debt on our children and grandchildren, or do we have a reasonable way to pay for this expansion of the highway? And while I think there are times, especially during ski season, where it is a tremendous inconvenience to individuals, we've got to balance that with who's going to pay the load.
Let's talk debt for a little bit. The amount of debt right now is staggering. When you take a look at a $13 trillion debt, that's nothing compared to the unfunded liabilities of Medicare and Social Security. We're heading off a cliff. This is going to be the most difficult issue to deal with. And whoever's in that seat is going to be in the hot seat, because everyone's going to want their benefits. The money's not going to be there. Jane Norton, as I said, has taken a no-tax pledge. She has promised never to raise taxes. I'm assuming you've done the same. I want to make sure of that. All right. So what's the answer on the debt? You've had a lot of Republicans. Let's remember that Republicans under George Bush were the ones who really got us rolling on spending more than we had. In fact, growth of government as a percentage under George W. Bush was at a rate higher than that of LBJ. That's not the Republican Party I know.
I want to make sure I understand your question. You're talking about debt, not unfunded liabilities.
Yes.
Right now. Debt, I think, is a fairly simple answer, one that is very difficult to implement. But the answer is cut spending. There's no other issue other than or no other solution other than cutting spending. Now, I look at this campaign in a number of ways. The first part of the campaign was running a primary. The second part is running a general election. And after I'm elected, the third part of this campaign will be running against bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., because that's really where the pushback is going to come in terms of cutting spending, and that's what we need to do.
Unfunded liabilities. That's going to be, that might not happen on your watch, but it's coming. How do you address it?
Well, I think you've got to be realistic. I think the first thing you do is you bring the actuaries in and you say, what do we need? And the bottom line with unfunded liabilities is my 19-year-old, my 22-year-old know that they will not be getting Social Security when they're 62 years old. As the life expectancy increases, the date at which we give, or the age at which we give people benefits, retirement benefits, has to increase also. So I think there are a lot of measures that can be taken that can help with that unfunded liability. But the reality is that Medicare prescription Part D is the largest part of the unfunded liabilities, and we've got to be realistic about how we give people benefits and how we pay for those benefits. And that's I think the worst part of what a Republican president, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate did in the last 8 years was to pass things that they had no way to pay for.
We only got a couple minutes left, so let's go to the environment. I know you're a big fan of the new energy economy. I know you drive a Prius and you've got a windmill at your house that you use one of those self-composing toilets. So congratulations on all that good stuff.
Thank you.
With the BP mess in the Gulf, there's even a larger push from Obama as he's never let a good crisis go to waste. I'm worried about the cost of energy. When Bill Ritter has chased coal out of this state, and energy prices are going to go skyrocketing. Cap and trade is only going to do it more. What is it we need to do nationwide?
We need a comprehensive energy policy nationwide. For years, we heard about the mushroom clouds that would be over our cities if we looked at nuclear energy. And we based bad policy on bad science. And we've got to get away from basing policy on bad science. And so we've got to look at nuclear energy. We've got to look at clean coal technology, which is on the horizon 5-6 years away. We've got to look at drilling in places that we haven't drilled.
All right, last question. Because these elections get really nasty really fast. Anything you want to tell us that the other side might find out? The hidden DUI, the wife-beating charge later?
Wow. John, I thought we were friends. No.
We are friends.
I've
just given you the chance.
I have not beaten my wife. She now has a concealed carry permit. I would be a fool to beat my wife, so no.
Any surprises you want to come out and tell us?
No.
All right. I got some black and whites that say otherwise. Ken, thank you. This has been terrific, and thank you. Check out our webpage, independenceinstitute.org. Listen for me late nights on 850 KOA. Tell a friend. We'll see you next week.